Okay, hello everybody. I think we can start now. So anybody can still join later. Thank you for joining this webinar today. What's new in Graphity 2022? My name is Jasmin Müller. I'm the Graphity lead developer here at Yworks. And yeah, as the title says, I'm going to present the main new features in Graphity for the current major release. So just to bring you up to date, or maybe set it into some context, Graphity, that's our powerful editor for graph diagrams. It's a plugin for Atlassian Confluence. It's on the market since a couple of years now. And it's available for all three major Confluence platforms, for data center, for server, and also for the cloud platform. And recently, to be more precise, last week, we had a new release, 2.1. And I'm going to show you a few of the main features. And yeah, hopefully you enjoy the presentation. Okay, what's new in this release? We focus on three major areas, on the styling of elements and improvement of gestures related to styling. We focused on aspects of the automatic layout, the arrangement of graph elements. And as usual, and as to be expected, we also focus on the general quality of life, read bug fixes, general improvements, that kind of things. So let's start directly for the styling improvements. So what do we have here? New feature is that finally it's possible to format labels in a more reasonable way, as you can apply rich text formatting to labels. We have added a whole bunch of new and improved node shapes. Also, we have improved the handling and the look of the group node styles. There are new edge styles specifically very suitable for state machine diagrams and for like edge bundles. There are a couple of new options for the styles. And in general, we have done a complete UI theme overhaul. It's maybe not that visible, but it's noticeable in a lot of spots in the user interaction. Okay, let's start directly with the first major item: improved label formatting. So finally, you can create a single label that looks like that. And I realize maybe it's not that clearly visible in the broadcast, but with a bold headline and not normal font text beneath. In earlier releases, you had to create 2 or maybe even 3 labels and somehow place them and hope that they don't fall apart again. And now you can just create this as a single label and format the individual parts of the label. And so we support a bunch of formatting options. You can set, for example, a font style. You can set the colors, superscripts, underline. Probably not all that is imaginable, but still a huge subset of formatting options. So I'm going to show this in action, actually. Okay, so maybe let's say you have like this team chart. So there are already some nodes that I have created, and yeah, let's just add a new guy. Let's call him Max Rokatanski, for example. Rokatanski. And well, let's say he is so important he can have a larger heading maybe. And so he's not part of maybe he's a road tester, and we want to emphasize his role here. And so he gets a red color, and let's see. And we can let this look like an actual link. And we can also add new lines here, like have a note. Okay, maybe I should reset this option first. Node likes to drive around. And let's say this should be bold. And so you can, and this is really just a single label. And when it gets applied, it's too small, unfortunately. And this way you can very easily create those more meaningful labels actually, and don't have to fiddle around and hope to and create 10 labels. You all have to edit individually. And so we can go on. We can also edit an existing guy. And maybe let's say he's green, and yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of more or less reasonable options here, obviously, in this context. But yeah, we think this is a huge improvement compared to the previous situation. One thing I can also show you is that it's easy to add a label to the whole node now. So let's see if we want to, like, I don't know, maybe let's say we want to link this guy here, so it's actually easier to just add a link to a whole node. Previously, you had to go via the property panel, so we added a shortcut, so you can add the link directly, and then you can, for example, follow this this whole element. Yeah, another option I can actually just show here, even though it doesn't have to do anything with the label editing, but it's a nice example. We've also added a feature where you can automatically distribute nodes. So let's say we want to, maybe we want to align them first and align them at the bottom. And then we can also space them evenly without having to apply an automatic layout. You can see it's not an automatic layout, but for small and quick arrangements, it's very, we think it's very useful. Okay, that's about the label editing and related gestures. Just a second. Okay. Yeah, we also, I've already mentioned this, we have added a bunch of completely new node styles. So we have added a kind of rectangular shapes, more options for these. Previously, you were basically limited to like a rounded rectangle and maybe a circle. And yeah, and now you can, for example, create shapes that have just one round corner, or just slanted on two corners, or a hexagon. And in the same vein, you can also have shapes that look like arrows. And we also have a bunch of options for these. You can have a notch, you can rotate them in any direction. You can have two heads. So this would look a bit like, let's see. Would look a bit like this. So here we have all the possible options, and haven't integrated all of them. And for example, you can also adjust like the angle, how acute it is, or how thick the shaft of the arrow should be. Or here you can define how large the corners actually should be. And to round this up a little bit, we also have created a completely new group node style, which is more flexible than the existing one. The existing one basically had one predefined visualization and a fixed place for the icon and a fixed place for the label, and that was it. And now you can, for example, you can place the tab at the bottom or at the sides, and you can decide whether you want the text to appear on the tab or on the other side. And you can also switch between these. So, for example, you can drag the label to the background and vice versa. And you can see here we have all the possible options, like have the label, the tab at the size or wherever you like it, or even show no tab at all. So the green ones are the new ones. And of course, you're not limited to the color green. So you can also have like this one, and then the rest of the colors, they are automatically derived from the main color. And they just work like the old group note style. So you can also have a folder and collapse it and expand it. Yeah. So what else do we have? We have a bunch of new edge styles. They are a little bit more specialized. So for like state machine diagrams and like in computer science, for example, you often want to have those arcs instead of polylines or rounded polylines or whatever. That's, I think, the usual presentation for a state machine. And so we've decided to add those kind of edges. So we can see these in action as soon as Confluence wants to talk to me. And yeah, so this would be like an arc, and you can actually interactively change the height or programmatically. You can also define whether it's, maybe that wasn't the best example, whether it depends on the distance or is just a fixed height. So both have their own reason to be there. And you can also already see, and I'm just going to show this, we have also added another edge style, which is specifically for like if you have those kind of parallel edges and they present a bundle and you just want to move them together and be homogeneously arranged. It's also possible now. And again, you can just adjust the height, and you can also, for a single edge, you can also just adjust the length of that segment here. So it's, since I've just selected that edge, it's not synchronized with the others, but I guess you get the idea. And so this is especially useful if you have like a lot of parallel connections and you don't want to, this was something that was basically impossible to achieve with any of the existing layout algorithms so far, and also very cumbersome to create with the polylines. Okay, I've already shown these. We also have a kind of a bunch of specialized straight line edges, which mostly look like the node shapes you have seen before. They're just a very easy way to, for example, create a notched shape here with a thickness like that one. Okay, I have to resize this a little bit. You can see the notch here, and again you can just adjust the width and create like a basically that kind of arrow, or on the other hand you can make it more pointed, or change it to a standard single arrow. Okay, we've also, so I already mentioned the rich text formatting of labels. We have also added independently. We have also added a bunch of new background shapes. Previously, you only could have a rectangular background for labels, and now you can also have like a pill shape or a hexagon or a rounded rectangle. I'm not showing the rounded rectangle here. And related, but not completely the same, you also have the option to wrap labels into a predefined shape. So, for example, if we have these labels here, so these are wrapped into the node shape. So you have the option fit shape. So if I disable it, it's just flowing outside the shape. And to prove that it's actually wrapping, if I resize the shape, for example, you can see how the text will get a reflow. And this doesn't work for all combinations, but for the specific case where you just want to basically fill a shape with a label, we think it works very well. So for a rectangle, the same. You can see it's also properly clipped at the end if you choose the right option for that. Yeah, so this is mostly about the new styling options, the new styles. And I think I'll just continue to the new layout options here. So for the layout, we have basically focused on two main areas. Finally, it's possible to actually arrange or lay out only a selected part of a graph, which was not really possible so far. And it's also possible to cancel a long-running layout if you have chosen a not very wise set of options, or the graph is just huge. Now you don't have to wait until the layout actually finishes. So minor features are, we have added the quick node alignment. We have improved long-standing issue. We have improved the handling of tabular nodes. And there are also a bunch of new sub-options for the individual layouts. And for these, I would just refer you to the changelog, actually. But I'm going to show the first two improvements. So for it's also called the partial layout. So I've stolen that name, actually. Yeah, so the main goal is we want to arrange only a selected part of the graph, nothing else. We don't want to change anything elsewhere. So maybe you have noticed, like the hierarchic layout, it already had the incremental option, for example, but you had no guarantee that the rest of the graph was kept intact. In incremental layout, try to create a very good looking layout in general, overall. But to achieve that, sometimes you had to rearrange parts of the not selected parts of the graph to just create to satisfy all metrics. Whereas the partial layout, it allows you to just rearrange a new part. It also allows you to mix different layout styles in the same diagram. And so basically this kind of, so we start with the green ones, and we have the blue part, and let's say we want to rearrange these, and please bear with me, it's for the sake of discussion. We try to create a circular layout here, and you can see the rest is actually left intact. It's really only the green part that has been changed. So if you're not going to trust my words, I can also demonstrate this in live action. And so let's say we've started with this diagram here, for example. Maybe let's say we have typical use case would maybe we have like edit that sample graph here, edit it to the diagram, and don't really need this one. And we notice it doesn't really fit whatever I want to express here. And yeah, maybe we actually want to make it look also integrate into the hierarchic layout, but it should have a different the rest of the graph shouldn't be moved at all. So let's start here, and you can also already see in the preview what is going to happen. And I think I've selected one node too many. Let's see. Okay, sorry. Okay, that's better. So you can already see you have a bunch of different options here, and I'm just going to stick with the default options. I want to choose a position that is best aligned with the rest of the graph here. And yeah, let's apply this. And maybe you have seen that the rest of the graph, except for that edge, which has to be changed somehow, obviously, hasn't been changed at all. And yeah, well, then maybe I noticed, or maybe that wasn't the best idea. And for whatever reason, I want to rearrange that part in a completely different style and say, okay, let's have a, I don't know, orthogonal layout for this. And then can apply an orthogonal layout to that part. So it works especially well if those parts aren't very tightly connected. If you have, like, say, more or less unconnected parts and you place them side by side. Maybe if you want to have the same graph just with different layout options side by side to inspect the differences, this would be a nice approach. But it's not limited to that. Okay. So much for the partial layout. And the last new feature here is the ability to cancel long-running layouts. So let's say we start with that nice small graph here. And you can already see it takes a while to load already. So this is a typical hairball graph, and I've decided to choose a very stupid option. I'm going to use the orthogonal layout for that one. Which is probably the longest running kind of layout we have for that kind of graphs. And so previously, now you could basically go get a coffee or 2 coffees. Not so much a problem of your computer or Wi-Fi in itself. It's just this kind of layout isn't very well suited to these kind of graphs. And so maybe you noticed, oh shit, I made a mistake. And so you can just cancel it now, finally, and don't have to wait for half an hour or close the browser tab or whatever. So visually a small feature, but we think it's pretty useful for exactly these kinds of situations. And let's see. So this is all about the main layout features. So we also improved the quality of life in general of the product. And so we have improved and streamlined some of the workflows, like when you want to add a new diagram, it's a little bit more straightforward now. We've removed a bunch of misleading options that didn't really work or were basically duplicated options you already had. In general, we made the UI and the behavior more consistent. And as can be expected, we also fixed many bugs. Hopefully you haven't run into any of these, but yeah, so this is what you would expect from a quality of life release. And I think that already rounds up the presentation. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask them now. Okay, I can see there has been one question. What styles are available for the feature where you can arrange selected parts of the graph? So I think I've just mentioned this in passing. Let me just fire this up again. And so let's say you have these options. So basically, we have different variants of the hierarchical layout with different routing options. You can apply an organic layout, a circular or an orthogonal layout. So the main general layout algorithm styles. And right now they aren't configurable, but we plan to add more options. It's important not to overcrowd this here because it's already pretty complicated. So yeah, we have to decide what we actually want to support here. But basically, these 4 main layout algorithms. Tree layout, it's limited because not every subgraph is a tree. And those, in our opinion, those are too specialized for these kinds of diagrams. But we might add more in the future. Okay. You've mentioned that there are new default styles for group nodes. Can I still read my old diagrams, and will they look any different? Yeah, rest assured, you can still read your old diagrams. Actually, if I go here, you can see the old group node styles are still here. And so if I don't have an old diagram right now. I've set up this instance from scratch, but you can read them. And if you really want to, you can still continue to use those old styles. So those are only used for new elements or when you actually decide to apply these styles to elements. Okay, one more question. What are your plans regarding the Confluence server platform? Will you continue to support it? Yeah, so I know it's a big deal for many people. We have currently no plans to drop support for the server platform. Before the final Atlassian deadline, which is February 2024. So until then, the server app version, we will receive the same bug fixes and new features as the data center one. They are closely related. And after the deadline, our understanding is that the platform as well as the apps will be frozen to the last available version. They will continue to work, but you won't get any new features and you won't get any support, unfortunately. And I think if there aren't any more questions, thank you very much for attending that webinar. Thank you for joining me here. And if you like, feel free to try it out. The update should already be in the app stores. And happy diagramming. Thank you.